Welcome back to SplunkTalk, the podcast that's all Splunk and no junk. I am still Burch, and that is still...
Yep, I'm still Hal. Hello there.
Good. Hello there.
How you doing, Burch?
Well, I'm a little taken by all the great things that we just saw. I was trying to take notes, and I think I have so many wonderful ideas that I want to talk about from the things that we heard that we're not going to have enough time to go over all of them. But you know, I said the word ideas. I think that might be a great place to start because we just heard a little bit about that in the last segment. I will start off by just saying what I always say about ideas. I love it. I'm really glad I got some time on the main stage there in the keynote because we are a much bigger company than it was when I was a customer. Back in the day, I used to I'd just talk to a PM at Conf or I'd email them. But now there's so many balls in there. There's so many things. Yeah, that those
and now the only way that
you
can really directly contact a PM is like by emailing p.ogden@splunk.com, for example. That's about the only way you can do it.
Yeah, and so ideas blows my mind because now we have this ability where if you come up with a feature enhancement, you post it out there, other people can vote on it, can collaborate on it, and it just brings that entire conversation to the forefront. So ideas.splunk.com, that was something I was really excited to see. What was something you were excited to see?
I like when Doug, Sean, Garth, and Teresa, the others, they get into some of the numbers. So a couple that I happened to note along the way. Let's see. When the gentleman from AWS came on the stage, he said that they have, and this was in the security context, 50 petabytes a day of data that is generated. Now, that's just a crazy number. What do you do with that number? Well, not all of it is data that they needed to bring into the platform. The number that they that they got down to was 500 terabytes a day. So just the massive amount of data that AWS generates and uses for security. Think about this stuff is complex. Like software is hard. Okay, the ability to build a system, and I was a systems engineer going back 15 years before I even joined Splunk. Just the physics involved, the computer science involved to build a system to process that much data, moving the bits, right?
We take it for granted now.
Yeah. But yeah, look in the context of things about how much work it is required on our part in order to build a cloud platform to be able to scale to those types of needs for one customer. We have to do it for a wide variety of customers. And one of the other things.
Yeah.
I was going to say,
no, I was
that
just
was one of the
about,
first.
We might as well just talk at the same time. No, I thought you, I think you positioned nicely when you talk about they start at this giant scale and they get down to 500 terabytes per day or whatever the number might be. That filtering made me think of ingest actions. Was that something you were about to go into?
We could do that together.
Yeah.
But first, I wanted to shout out to. We'll get there. I wanted to mention we got a couple of people in chat. Now we're streaming live on 3 platforms: Twitch, YouTube, LinkedIn, and I see one gentleman from India checking in. Probably 2 of them actually looking at that name. Doug, he's a friend and coworker, and Mati L. I don't know what that means exactly, but they're excited to see us, so that's cool.
Yes, they are very excited to see us.
But yes,
hi Ashik and Rashab. Yeah. Ingest Actions. That was cool.
So
I mean, this
ingest.
This is something that's bit like the use case they said about social security numbers. That's a classic one. It's I love that. I love Joe getting out of the market all these groceries, and Mr. Burns says, "I want everything in one bag, and I want the bag to not be heavy." And it's we did that. We're saying, here, you can have the data without that PII, without that personally identifiable information being exposed to everyone. But you could also still have the original copy of it for backup if you need it. And I always thought of that as like that grocery bag thing. Like, oh, we can't possibly do both of those things at the same time. That was cool.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of like having your cake and eating it too. Um, one of the cool things is that it's built on top of the core platform. So some of the concepts are ones you might be familiar with today. You know how to do them, but it was hard to do them. So what we're doing is kind of making that easier, providing a user interface, and then the routing to S3. That's brand new. So customers can check this out. It's going to be in preview now or beta now. So you'll be able to get some hands on that very soon. I'm excited about that. It makes you and kind of thinking about later in the talk when Teresa got the stage and talked about workload pricing. If you want to do cool things with Splunk, which we want you to do cool things with Splunk because we think it's valuable and powerful. If you want to do those, but you're like, okay, the way that the pricing works kind of prevents me from bringing in the data. Well, now you've got multiple options, and one of those is having the ability, kind of like a traffic cop, to be able to say what's going to go in the platform and what isn't. And then on the other side, when it comes to the commercial terms, it's like, okay, let's just kind of change the game and price these things differently. And that's important to a lot of customers.
That was cool. Do you know more about Ingest Actions? So like from a
I know all of
technical perspective, you know all about it. Does that happen at the edge, or is that data coming to Splunk and then being rerouted?
Yeah, the way that I'm going to answer that is going to be calling back to the terms how Garth was using it. So
Okay.
Garth had several key kind of themes that he was speaking about it at different parts. No, my bad. It was just Sean. I'm looking at my notes. Sean was talking about machine learning, serverless, global scale, and then edge. Now he had a meaning of edge there. So if we're going to be, specific about it, no, ingest actions doesn't work to the edge. It doesn't work where the car, is on the track. That's edge, like the McLaren edge. And you can think of a lot of cases in data processing where this edge would apply. I have a tractor out in the field. I've got a sports car on the track.
Or
no,
like
we're not
I
talking
have a
about
rock
that.
and roll band named U2. I have a guitarist named The Edge. Like there's a lot
Actually,
of
he's the
applications for
bass
The
player,
Edge.
to be specific.
The bass player?
Bono with the lead guitar. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well,
Yeah. Now you know. I mean, this was a great place to learn that.
the more
Ingest
you
Actions
know.
runs in your Splunk environment, wherever that is. So if you have it, in your data center, you're running it BYOL in a cloud service provider, it will run there. Does that answer your question, sir?
Yeah, well, yeah. I'm excited about the data flow. Speaking of things I'm excited about, there was another thing. I awarded points during the keynote. I think it was Garth earned points for using the phrase mammalian brain. I was
Okay.
really enjoying. What so many other topics. Community got a shout out there. I always love talking about that platform because when I was a Splunk admin, and I encourage all admins to do this, like you can get an email with a question, but you might be in meetings. It may take you a while to respond, and then that's just like your opinion, your response, your limited knowledge. But when you tell people, you know what, post it on community and I'll follow you on there. Now you know that, well, I have a whole pool. This entire community is out there helping me answer this question and giving me inspiration and ideas that I may not have thought of as the best answer. So it's like faster and richer than if you're just having these one-off conversations. So I was glad that got a shout out in there.
Yeah, I don't want to let that one pass. I have to say something about community also.
Oh, lay it on me.
Is that okay? All right, cool.
Do it.
No,
Well,
it's
I
like
look up about the edge.
I mean, any company can make software. Okay, if the software is compelling and many people can see that, that's when you start to have the community kind of form up around it. And if you see a company, if you're kind of like evaluating software, right? You're like, hey, I'm a buyer. I've got a budget. Blah blah blah. Okay, that's one thing. Those are important. The features. But man, you also have to look at the community. You have to see what do the people that use this day to day, run it, every day, make this thing, build this thing out, help it be successful. What do they think? And do they actually, go out of their way to help their fellow customers, community members, whether it's, in a technical fashion or totally non-technical, like maybe they're, doing Habitat for Humanity together and those kinds of things. Yeah, that's pretty special.
Yeah. I
So
agree with you. I think it's a lot of like our company values of like being passionate. Like that is a lot of in our culture. The other thing that's interesting, a little tidbit, David Howell Evans, that's the name of the Edge. He is the guitarist. Don't try to
yeah.
trick me.
Okay. Fine. We should have arranged for trivia questions to be asked on air. So I will solicit that from the viewers in chat.
Yeah.
Feel free to ask us trivia questions. We are going to probably get them wrong, and that might also be amusing.
Yeah. Adam
So
Clayton, that's the bassist. All right, back to
okay.
Splunk. No junk.
All right. Okay. So what else? I was looking through the list of the things that were kind of coming out or have been announced. The things that we can kind of like be a little specific about as far as opposed to the far future stuff where we can't really do anything about. So Ingest Actions was a great example where we can kind of get into some of those features because they're going to be in customers' hands soon. Another one, the work that we're doing in the security realm, risk-based alerting, integrated threat intelligence, the Splunk intelligence management platform.
Yeah, can you unpack that a little?
No. Yeah, I mean,
okay.
yeah.
We'll just keep listing off key terms.
Well, no, it's funny because I actually was writing down acronyms, and at some point I realized if I don't understand these acronyms either, that's gonna be a problem on air. Yeah,
well,
but yeah, risk-based alerting.
Or that's a call to action that we should attend some sweet breakout sessions where they talk about these things.
It is good. That's a good one. Yeah, that's a good one. But risk-based alerting is not a new concept. What we're doing new is bringing it into the platform kind of as a native feature and helping you to build that out yourself. And it's something we've iterated on over the past, I don't know how many years, maybe a few years in ES, enterprise security.
Yeah.
Where we know that you have data, we know that you have alerts, and then when you get by the time you get to ES and you've built all these kind of these correlations together into correlation searches, you have notable alerts. Well, not all of them are equal. Let's take some context about this information and use it to weight things up and down. And one of the ways the lenses you might look at is the risk. So risk-based alerting helps you take that notable event and bump it up to the top if it needs to be, because there's a higher risk here involved. So let me get one level more specific. Maybe there are a series of bad password attempts at a workstation. Okay, and then there's a successful login attempt. Okay, so if that is, and that's very routine, right? This is Monday morning kind of thing. But if it happens a lot across a random set of user accounts in a very, very short amount of time, especially if it's not Monday morning, well, then that's more important. Also, if it happens to an executive's laptop,
that's the one I always think of. Yeah,
then
my laptop is not equal to my CEO's laptop.
Yeah. So that's what risk-based alerting is about. You've had the capability to do some of these things with a large amount of effort. Well, to some amount of effort in enterprise security. Now we're just kind of like helping you.
It's like more turnkey now. You don't have
more turnkey. That's probably the best way to put it. Combine that with the threat intelligence.
Yeah, I always kind of thought, like for me, when I try to think about like what's the value add of things like enterprise security, ITSI, and it was always like you could do a lot with the core platform, but you had a fragile thing that like that admin had to own and update and so forth. And a lot of these things like introducing risk-based alerting or like anomaly detections or all that like rich new product is essentially commoditizing these otherwise complex things, and now your end users, it's democratized. They can now do these things too. So that kind of hit home for me when you were saying, risk-based alerting. It's now making it more trivial for everyone to manage that instead of just like the super splunkers in the group.
And that reminds me what Sean was saying about machine learning. So we have a machine learning. You think about this, and if you think about it from a very lay person kind of marketing blurb, then it starts to look like things we don't understand, things we humans can't understand. Oh, now I watched Terminator. Now I think that they're out to get us. Kind of right. That's where if you don't think it through, it starts to look like that. But then when you think about it, it's just math. And the things that we can optimize the computers to do is to process math very quickly. So machine learning and in some specific cases like the machine learning toolkit, which has been downloaded, I forget how many thousands of times that they were saying about on stage. I wrote the number down somewhere. That's a big deal, that 100,000 downloads for the machine learning toolkit.
Wow.
That's a big deal if we can help customers do more in the same amount of time, a short amount of time, because these things, these systems that we build, they require people, processes, and technology. The most limited resource of these are the people. So if going back to the SOC use case, if you have 10 analysts and they can only, and it doesn't have to be security, it could be IT as well. If you have 10 analysts and they can process 90 alerts a day at that kind of like very surface tier 1 kind of aspect, that's all they can do. So to do more, you have to hire another person. Well, what if you can actually give that person some kind of superhuman powers, so to speak, to kind of increase their productivity? So that's what we're all about when we talk about, okay, we're gonna add machine learning features into the kind of the portfolio of products that we have.
Yeah, no, it's cool. I think there's a huge upside with the ways, not only with machine learning, what you can do with the data, but I also get excited about what you can do in terms of usability of the product. So I always fantasize about like how, I see you're, typing this SPL, and things like autocomplete, right? Based on like your cohort, your peers, what types of searches they write. So I'm not saying that that's something that we're announced or whatnot, but just the avenues for machine learning, it really, it takes it from math to magic.
Yeah. And Patrick says in chat, he sums it up: software can be useful, but if people can't see the value, then they won't actually adopt it. So yeah, it's kind of like, enhancing, accelerating, making that value simpler, easier to accomplish. That's what we want to do there in the machine learning area. What else? What are some other things to pull out?
Another topic that came up a few times was Splunk Base, and that's a peer of mine's baby. So that's I'm in that side of the house now in the developer ecosystem. So it's been really fun watching the developments there. But there is a preview mode now. You can check out some new UI around Splunk Base. The new UI provides a lot of avenues for things that we haven't had before, like collections, and starting to have like staff picks and ways of promoting and providing more of a guided approach as you're shopping for different apps and add-ons. Also, recently on Splunk Base was the inclusion of SOAR apps. So it's now not just core platform, and that's a big step. And
so
there's a
make
lot
sure
more
we
to
don't
come on
leave
that.
anybody behind. This was formerly known as Phantom, and now it's Splunk SOAR.
SOAR is,
and it's we're just making it better and better, putting a lot of resources behind that.
That's right, yeah, and even the work that we saw in the keynote around playbooks, that was coming out of that Phantom, now called SOAR product. But that was really exciting. I've heard rumors that that Dan, the PM for Splunk Base, may make an appearance on Splunk TV. Again, not promising anything, but stay tuned for that.
Right.
Yeah. Just heard some rumblings.
For Jillian, but whatever. We'll take Dan.
Yeah.
Dan's cool.
Yeah, we'll take Dan. We'll definitely take Dan. We got some rumors over at the virtual water cooler.
Yeah. Let's see. Let's talk about IT for a little bit.
I want to talk about Bird Olympics, actually, and how I can download that game. That was the APM game.
Was that the name of the...
where they were running across the screen.
Hey, it was Flappy Bird one year. I think it was like Flapping Pony. I forget what we called it, but yeah.
Yeah. There is a Splunk Base app with that game now, with Flappy Buttercup. Yeah.
Yeah. Buttercup Go. That's what it was called.
Yeah, someone bundled it into a Splunk Base app recently. A very smart developer. But yeah, well, we've got I think this will have to be our last topic. What you're about to share.
Of the three in the IT observability space, which one did I find the most interesting to talk about? I got to pick one. Okay, RUM for mobile, real user monitoring for mobile. So This was a space that Splunk was in a while back, and I love the joke that was shared internal chat. We'll have to. We got to do it. It's rum for mobile. Okay. Well, what did we last do this with? Mint. We should have called
mobile
it
intelligence.
Mojito. Yeah, we should have called rum for mobile.
Oh, rum and mint mojito.
Maybe that's next cute. Time, next version. Okay. But yeah, that's basically taking data that is important to understanding the health of the applications on your iPad, on your Android phone, wherever it may be, and actually doing some cool stuff with that, like distributed tracing, being able to profile the data that comes from these metrics as the apps run. Where is it slow? How can I fix that? Some good stuff. All
right. Someone was saying to me recently that we were talking about how TVs, like, it's so easy to get a big TV. We used to watch movies on these like tiny, because they were expensive. We got these massive TVs. No one cares because they're doing everything on their phones, things we wouldn't have never thought of. It's the phone is now such a primary device, having that intelligence from it, from that mobile perspective. That realm there is definitely increasingly important.
Definitely. Big fan of mobile.
Cool. Well, I think I believe that's our time. And then we've got a couple other time slots over here on Splunk TV. So we'll take a look at the broadcast. Stay tuned. Yeah. But with that, we'll throw back to weather and traffic with Josh. Thank you all. Happy Splunking. Enjoy the conference.